Good day, everyone. I'm Arvin Enriquez, your subject teacher in General Mathematics. With this video lesson, we're going to discuss real-life problems involving inverse functions under your General Mathematics from Quarter 1, Module 15. Our lesson objectives. At the end of this video lesson, you are expected to recall how to find the inverse of the functions, solve problems involving inverse functions, and evaluate inverse functions and interpret results. Let us now review the steps in finding the inverse of a function. First thing to do is to make sure that the given function is a one-to-one function before moving forward in finding its inverse of this function, because only one-to-one function has an inverse function. So for us to find the inverse of a function, first thing to do is to replace f of x with your y. So by simply replacing your f of x using your y, so we can write for something, for example, if there is a given f of x which is equal to 2x plus 3, then we can write this one by simply replacing your f of x with your y. We can write this given function by y is equal to 2x plus 3. Now, right after replacing your f of x using your y, we need to take the interchange between your x and y variables. So it's swapping of positions between your x and y variables in the given function, or switching of positions. Right after we take the interchange between your x and y variables, we need to solve for the new y from the equation in step number 2. What is now the value of y in terms of x? So right after interchanging uh, your x and y variables, or swapping a position between your x and y variables, we're now asked to solve for the value of y in terms of x. What is the value of your y in terms of x? So that will be the question that is being asked in step number 3. That's why we're asked to solve for the value of y from the equation in step number 2. Right after solving your y in terms of x, we're asked to replace the new y in a form of f raised to negative 1 of x if the inverse is a function. We really need to make sure that the inverse of the given function is also a function, because both your given function and your inverse should be a function. So before replacing your new y in terms of x here, we should check first if the inverse is a function before moving forward with an idea that we can use this f raised to negative 1 of x for us to replace your y here, or your new y in terms of x. So that's how we find the inverse of a function, by simply applying these 4 steps. So for example number 1, Andrew and his friend are playing a number guessing game. Andrew asks his friend to think a positive number. So we're going to assign a variable to this one. Then add 4 to the number. So if we let x, for example, to be your positive number, then we're asked to add 4 for this variable x. Next, square the resulting number. So whatever the result between your positive number, once we add 4 to this, we take the square of the resulting value and multiply the result by 3. So after multiplying the resulting value by 3, finally divide the result by 2. So we're asked to divide the result by 2. So if you are his friend and you get a result of 150, write an inverse function that will give you the original number and determine the original number. So there are two things that we're asked to look for. So first is to find the function that will give us the original number. And next is to find the original number. So for the solution in this example number 1, so to find the inverse, you need first to represent the model for the situation. So we just simply assigning a variable, no? So to what is being asked. So let x be the number that you think of. So we let x be your positive number, the unknown value of that positive number. So we add 4 to the number. That's why we represent this one as x plus 4. Then we take the square of the resulting number, which is x plus 4 square. Then whatever the resulting value for this one, we need to multiply the result by 3. It was being mentioned to the problem. That's why it's 3 multiplied by x plus 4 is square. And next thing to do is to divide the result by 2. That's why there is a denominator here which is equal to 2. So therefore, the model for the situation is f of x. So we just simply assigning a function on this one to represent, no, and to model the situation, which is your f of x now is equal to 3x plus 4 squared over 2. Now, applying the steps, no, in finding on how we find the inverse of a function is that we really need to rewrite, no, the given function by simply replacing your f of x using your y. That's why we can rewrite this one as y is equal now to 3 multiplied by x plus 4 squared over 2. So after replacing your f of x using your y, we need to interchange your x and y variables, or by simply switching, no, the position of your x and y variables. Whatever your y value in your original function, it becomes x to your inverse function, no? And next thing to do is your x becomes your y. Now, after taking the interchange, no, between your x and y variable, we need to multiply both sides, or we need to multiply both sides of your equation by 2. Why? Because we need to cancel the denominator in the right side of your equation. So we just simply cross multiply these 2 to your variable x, and it becomes 2x is equal to 3 multiplied by y plus 4 squared. So after this one, since we're asked to find the value of your y in terms of x, we need to remove or to cancel all those exponent and constant being attached to your variable y. That's why we need to multiply first, no, the entire equation by 1/3 for you to cancel your numerical coefficient at the right side of your equation, which is 3. So if we multiply the entire equation by 1/3, then it becomes 2 over 3x is equal now to y plus 4 squared. Since there is an exponent here, as you can see, no, still there's an exponent to your attached to your y plus 4. Then we need to take the square root of both sides of your equation for us to cancel out your exponent here. So your 2 here, since we take the square root of both sides of your equation, your exponent, which is equal to 2, will be cancelled out. So that will be equal to now to the square root of 2x plus over 3 is equal to y plus 4. As you can see in this square root value of your left side, that will be square root of 2x over 3 is now equal to y plus 4. So by simply transposing this positive 4 to another side of your equation, so from positive, it becomes negative. That's why it's negative, because our purpose now is to find by the for the value of y in terms of x. So there is no attachment to your y, exponent or numerical coefficient to it, or a constant to it. So now the resulting value, if we're asked to find the value of y in terms of x, that will be square root of 2x over 3 minus 4. So the inverse function of the original function is now f raised to negative 1 of x is equal to 2 square root of 2x over 3 minus 4. So let's try to use this one for us to find the original number. So by simply putting, your 150 here, as a value of your x variable in the given function. So it's a typographical error here. So it should be 150. So f raised to negative 1 of 150. So this number now will be equal to 150. So it's a typographical error. So once we apply your 150 here, if we substitute 150 as a value of your x variable in your inverse function, then it becomes square root of 2 multiplied by 150 over 3 minus 4. 2 multiplied by 150 is 300 over 3 it's 100. So it becomes square root of 100 minus 4. So we just simply copy your negative 4. So square root of 100 is 10 minus 4, then it becomes 6. So the resulting value for this one is equal to positive 6, meaning to say that the original number now is equal to positive 6. So for example number 2, to convert from degrees Fahrenheit to Kelvin, the function is k of t is now equal to 5 over 9 multiplied by t minus 32 plus 273.15. So where t is the temperature in Fahrenheit, so Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature. Yes, it is a standard unit for your temperature. So find the inverse function converting the temperature in Kelvin to degrees Fahrenheit. So for our solution for this example number 2, so the equation of the function is k is now equal to 5 over 9 multiplied by t minus 32 plus 273.15. We do not interchange the variable k and t because it refers to the temperatures in Kelvin and Fahrenheit respectively. So solve for t in terms of k. No, we only apply the concept of interchanging your variables, uh, if that is from our a scenario or conditions. We only apply this for those interchanging those two variables involved in such scenarios wherein it can be changed from a given condition, from a given time. But in this case, since there is a function, being formulated by some of our mathematicians and scientists, from the old times, then we cannot take the interchange between your k and t because this is effect peaks. I mean peaks uh, variables that it cannot be movable, we cannot take interchange from these two variables that is being involved again to the equation of the function that will represent the Kelvin once there's a given value of t. If we're asked to find the value of a Fahrenheit, once we're asked to convert this degrees Fahrenheit, to Kelvin, then this will be your equation to use. So meaning to say this k and t is a fixed uh, variables, no? There is no such thing that we can change from time to time because it was being formulated and used, no, for so many years. So next is to solve for t in terms of k. So use the given formula. So here we just simply copy the given formula of the function, then apply the addition property of equality or your APE. So we just simply transpose positive 273.15 to another side of your equation. So it becomes negative 273.15 is equal now to 5 over 9 multiplied by t minus 32. Then multiply both sides by 9 over 5 for us to cancel your 5 over 9 in the right side of your equation because our main goal now is to look for the value of t in terms of k. Now, so we just simply multiply both sides by 9 over 5. So it becomes 9 over 5 multiplied by k minus 273.15 is equal now to t minus 32. Next thing to do is to apply again your APE or the addition property of equality for us to get the value of t in terms of k or the function of t with respect to your k. Then we just simply transpose this negative 32 to another side of your equation. So we just simply transfer this negative 32 and make it a positive value from your right side of your equation going to your left side of your equation. That's why it's positive 32 here. Now, your t now is equal to 9 over 5 multiplied by k minus 273.15 plus 32. Therefore, the inverse function is t of k is equal to 9 over 5 k minus 273.15 plus 32, where k is the temperature in Kelvin. Again, we can only apply your interchange now if we are dealing with a conditions no, or a situation that can be changed from time to time. But again, if we're dealing with an equation of a function that is being formulated uh, uh, by some of the mathematicians no, from the 1900, no, and it was being used for so many years, then we just simply look for the value of t in terms of k. For example, with this kind of situation, we don't need to take the interchange or we don't need to swap no positions of this function or swapping of positions of these variables being involved in the equations of the function that was being used no for so many years and formulated by our mathematician and scientists way back to 1900. So for example number 3, the SSG officers of Kamohangin National High School are planning for a JS prom. So juniors, seniors prom. The allocated budget for decorations, sounds, and other miscellaneous expenses is 10,000 pesos, and an additional 150 pesos for meal expenses for each guest. So the organization received an amount of 40,000 from its external stakeholders. When we say external stakeholders, these are parents, so these are NGOs, LGUs, no? These are stakeholders outside the school vicinity or the school community, no? So we're asked to write, no? Write the total allocated budget as a function of the number of guests. Find the inverse of the function. So after getting the function, no, we're asked to find the inverse of the function. Then for letter C, state the domain and range for this situation. And for D, find the possible number of guests for a budget of 40,000 pesos. So for the solution with this example number 3 for letter A, so we're going to assign a variable to represent the number of guests. So we let x be the number of guests, then f of x be the allocated budget as a function of the number of guests. So thus, f of x now is the function that will represent the allocated budget as a function of the number of guests. Is equal to 10,000 plus 150x. So x now is the number of guests. We need to say when x increases, your f of x also increases. When your x decreases, it's automatic that the allocated budget as of, for this number of guesses also decreases. So the value of your f of x now will be dependent on the number of guests because it will increase. The value of x will increase or decrease the allocated budget for the number of guests. Now, with this function, find the inverse of this one. Since here, the value of your f of x and your x here can be changed from time to time. So there is no constant, or I mean there is no peaks value of this f of x and x here. So when your x increases, your f of x also increases. It depends on the condition. It depends on the situation. It depends on the volume of the number of guests being invited to this kind of uh, celebration. So to find the inverse of this one, so we're going to rewrite the given function by simply using your y to replace your f of x here. That's why it becomes y is equal to 10,000 plus 150x. Then interchange x and y and solve for the value of y. So your y, it becomes x, or swapping of position between your x and y variable, is equal to 10,000 plus 150y. Your x now becomes your y in this scenario. Then next thing to do is to solve the value of y in terms of x by simply applying the addition property of equality. So we transfer this positive 10,000 from right side to left side of your equation, so it becomes negative 10,000 here is equal to 150y. For us to cancel out, to cancel the numerical coefficient of your y in the in the right side of your equation, we need to divide both sides by 150 because we really need to make sure that the numerical coefficient to y, or we're asked to make sure that the numerical coefficient attached to your y variable is equal to positive 1. That's why we need to divide the entire equation by 150. So your 150 here will be cancelled out because 150 over 150 is now equal to 1. So your y is equal to x minus 10,000 over 150. So that's how we deal with this one. So your inverse function now is equal to x minus 10,000 over 150. So for letter C, use the inverse of the function to find the domain and range of the situation. So we're asked to find the domain and range of this situation. So if we input, for example, if we input, what will be, if we input 40,000 as a value of your x variable here, now, what will be the domain range for us to see, the limit, the limits of this value of your x and y. Now, if we apply in this case, that x now will become 40,000. So we simply substitute 40,000 to your x variable. Then 40,000 minus 10,000 over 150 is now equal to 200. So there's a resulting value now which is equal to 200. Therefore, the domain now, x is an element of in natural numbers. These are positive numbers, 0 is less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 200. Meaning to say that the value of x, or the value of the number of guests, no, it can be equal to 0. No? It can be equal to 0 because there are things, or there are situations wherein there is no guess. So your x now can be equal to 0, but it should be greater than 0. And it can be uh, equal to 200, because 200, that will be the maximum value that we can put, no, as a value per x here, based on the allocated budget, which is 40,000 only. So we cannot invite a guest, no, more than 200, because our allocated budget is only 40,000 pesos. That's why we need to reconsider, consider and reconsider again, no, the allocated budget for this event or celebration. No, we can invite 200 uh, guests only for this one. So that's why the value of x now is 0, is less than or equal to x, or less than or equal to 200. Your x can be 0, but but at some point it can be greater than 0. But there is no such thing as 0. Your x is less than 0. So there is no negative guess in reality. That's why it's a natural number, no? So these are positive values only. Meaning to say that n is only a positive value. That x, I mean, is an element of natural numbers. These are positive values, no? That's n, a whole number. That's why your x can be equal to 0 and greater than 0, but not less than 0. And your x now can be equal to 200 and less than 200, because the maximum value of x, or the number of guests that you can invite, no, for this event is only 200, because there is only 40,000 pesos, no, allocated as a budget for this event. Now, your y is an element of real numbers. Your real numbers can be negative, positive numbers. So 0 is greater than or equal to y, greater than or equal to, less than, I mean, no, less than 40,000. Again, your 0 is less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 40,000. Because 40,000 is just, it is the limit, no, it is the maximum, no, uh, allocated budget for this event. So we cannot exceed to this 40,000. That's why the value of your y here is just, it starts from 0 to 40,000, or in between 0 and 40,000. You cannot go beyond 0 and 40,000. So it should be 0 to 40, or in between 0 and 40. So for letter D now, therefore, for a budget of 40,000 pesos, 200 students may attend the JS prom. Yes, it is, no, that will be the maximum number of students that we can invite for this JS prom. So if there are more than 200 students, the organization needs to take of other means to raise additional fund for the prom. That's why it is important for us, no, to see, or to deal with how to look for a function that will represent a certain situations, because we can visualize, no, what will happen if we exceed, or we invited 200 more student, no, or more than 200 student. So in this case, by simply using the function, then we can identify, no, or we can determine that we really need to look for an additional funds for this event if we exceed to that 200 students. So for example number 4, a good play music allows member to download songs for 203.40 pesos each, after paying a monthly service charge of 762.75 pesos. The total monthly cost CX of the service in peso is Cx, or the function that will represent the cost with respect to your x variable now, is equal to 762 pesos and 75 centavos plus 203 pesos and 40 centavos multiplied by x, where x is the number of songs downloaded. So we're asked to find the inverse function. Second is what do x and the inverse function of these uh, function that represent your cost, no, represent in the context of the inverse function. And for letter C, how many songs were downloaded if a member's monthly bill is 3,813 pesos and 75 centavos. So for the solution, so for letter A, so use the given equation to find the inverse of the function. So here there's a given function for the cost with respect to your x. So x, that will be your independent variable, then your c of x, or we can replace this one by simply using your y, that will be your dependent variable, I mean, because whatever we put a value of x, then there is an effect to your y. It can increase or decrease. Now, first thing to do is to find the inverse of this function. So your c of x in terms of y. So we just simply use y to replace your c of x. So we can rewrite this one as y is equal to 762.75 pesos plus 203.40 x. That will be your given function. Now, after we replace your c of x by y, so we need to take the interchange between your x and y variable and to solve for y in terms of x. Now, in this one, it's about swapping of positions between your two variables involved. So your y becomes x, then your x becomes y. So therefore, we can rewrite this one as x is equal to 762.75 plus 203.40 y. Then apply the addition property of equality. So we need to transpose or transfer this 762.75 to another side of your equation. So it becomes negative 762.75 is equal to 203.40y. Now, our task now is to make no is to make sure that the numerical coefficient attached to your y is equal to 1. That's why we need to divide both sides by, so it's a typographical error here. So it's 203.40. So we need to divide both sides by 203.40. So it becomes y now is equal to x minus 762.75 over 203.40. So this will be the value now of your inverse function. That's why your inverse function of your c of x now is this x, wherein your x is wherein your x minus 762.75 over 203.40. So your b now, x is the total monthly cost of the service, and c of x is the number of songs downloaded. No, as you can see, no, we let your x as the total monthly cost of the service, and the inverse of this is the number of songs downloaded. So, what will be the monthly bill of our members if 15 songs are downloaded? So we just simply substitute this 15 to the variable x in your inverse function, and we can arrive to this value, which is 3,813.75 pesos. So that will be the members' monthly bill if 15 songs were downloaded. So for example number 5, Maria wants to buy a particular breed of bangus, and she is aware that the weight in kilograms of a particular breed of bangus is related to its length in centimeter. So given this function W is equal to 5.32 times 10 raised to 3 multiplied by L square, find its inverse and determine the appropriate length of a bangus that weighs 0.769 kilogram. For the solution, so find the inverse of the given function with respect to your W. So your W, we just simply copy your W in terms of L. So your W is equal to 5.32 times 10 raised to 3, negative 3 I mean, multiplied by L square. So first thing to do is to divide both sides by 5.32 times 10 raised to 3 for us to cancel out and to make sure that the numerical coefficient in your L square is equal to 1. So we can cancel out this one because that is equal to 1. So we don't need to put 1 as your numerical coefficient there because it doesn't affect the value of your L square. Now, your L square now is equal to W. As you can see here, your L square now is equal to W over 5.32 times 10 raised to negative 3. So we're asked to get the value of L in terms of W. So we need to take the square, square root of both sides of your equation for us to cancel this exponent in your L. Now, for us to take the square root, so both sides, so square root of L square is now equal to L. So in this case, as you can see, that will be square root of W over 5.32 times 10 raised to negative 3. That will be equal to L. So therefore, the inverse of the function L now is equal to square root of W over 5.32 times 10 raised to negative 3. So this will be the inverse. So to determine the appropriate length of a bangus that weighs 0.769 kilogram, evaluate the inverse function f raised to negative of L using your inverse function here when W is 0.76.9 kilogram. So we just simply substitute this 0.769 as a value of your W here. That's why it becomes square root of 0.769 over 5.30 times 10 raised to negative 3. So the length now is approximately equal to 12.02. So therefore, the length of the particular breed of bangus is approximately equal to 12.02 centimeters. So that will be our final answer. So for example number 3, so the balloon is rising vertically and Dennis wants to take a series of photographs. The distance between Dennis at B and the launching point of the balloon A is 250. So if this is Dennis and this is your balloon, they are 250 meters. So the horizontal distance between Dennis and the launching point of the balloon is 250 meters apart. So the angle of elevation must change with the height of x of the balloon. Yes, it is, no? If this is your angle of elevation, the values of your angle of elevation will be dependent on the height of the balloon. Because if the height of the balloon increases, it's automatic that the angle of elevation is also increases. So now our goal now is to find the angle t as the function of the height x. Second is to find the angle t in degrees when x is equal to 125, 250, 500, and 1000 meters. Approximate your answer to one decimal place. For letter C, graph t as a function of x. So we're asked to graph the function of x. So for our solution here, so the opposite of an adjacent side to angle RT are x and 250. So if this is your triangle, as you can see, if this is your balloon and this is Dennis, if this is your angle, this will be your adjacent side and this will be your opposite side. So if this adjacent side now, no, as you can see, no, is equal to 250. Your adjacent side is equal to 250, and this x, or your opposite side, if this is your angle, so that will be an unknown value. So we let x, no, we simply use x to this one. So we let x be equal to your opposite side. Then we let this one as your A, no, as your adjacent side. Now, use the property, no, as we use, no, the concept of your SOHCAHTOA, wherein if there's an involvement of tangent angle, that tangent angle is equal to opposite side over your adjacent side. Since there is a given value for adjacent side, so we can actually use your tangent function, no, from your trigonometry or from your SOHCAHTOAs whatsoever that you encountered, no, this tangent, no, the concept of your tangent that is equal to your opposite over your adjacent side. So use the property of the tangent function and its inverse. So the tangent inverse of tangent, no, of tangent t is now equal to t. So we just simply apply the property of tangent function and its inverse. So the inverse of a tangent, the tangent inverse of tangent t now is equal to x. So rewrite the equation tangent t is now equal to x, that will be your opposite, and 250, that will be your adjacent. Now the tangent, the inverse tangent of the tangent t is equal now to the inverse tangent of x over 250. So simplify left side of the equation to obtain t is equal to tangent inverse tangent of your x over 250. So we need to get for the value of t, angle t. So the inverse tangent of tangent t now is equal to the inverse tangent of x over 250. So as you can see here, there is a 1 over tangent here because this one, this inverse tangent of 1 will represent 1 over tangent. So when we say inverse tangent, it represents 1 over tangent. Because this one, no, your negative, it represents your exponent that your tangent is in your denominator. That's why it's negative 1. If that is positive 1, it's automatic that your tangent is in your numerator. Now, in this case, since inverse tangent, we're dealing with inverse tangent, that will be equal to 1 over tangent of tangent t is equal to inverse tangent of x over 250. Now, if we multiply, so tan t over your tangent, no, is equal to the inverse tangent of x over 250. So as you can see here, your x or your tangent x or the inverse tangent of x over 250. So therefore, that angle t as a function of height x is t is equal to tangent or the inverse tangent of 200 or x over 250. So this will be the value of your function that will represent your angle t. So for us to get the for the values of this one, we're asked to use your calculator to find the value of 125, 250, 500, and 1000. If we substitute this one to a given function for your angle t. Now, if we substitute this one to your x, 125, 250, 500. So there's a given value of your angle, which is 26.6 degrees for 125, 45 degrees for your 250, and 63.4 to your 500 as a value of your x, and 76 degrees for a value of 1000 in your x. So here, as you can see in the table, no? So in the upper part of this table, this will be your x value, and for the lower part of this table, that will be the value of angle t. So we start from 0 because we really need to start with the origin or at the center of your Cartesian plane once we're asked to plot this graph. And as you can see here, when the value of x increases, it's automatic that the angle of elevation also increases. So there is no such thing now. Once the horizontal distance between Dennis and the launching balloon uh, increases, there is no such thing as a decreasing value in your angle because it should be in increasing behavior. Once your x increase, it's automatic that the angle of elevation increase also. That's once that's why once we plot these ones, we start from 0, 0. If this one represents your x and this one represents your t, all your values under your x-axis will represent your x, and all your y values represent your angle that we get once we substitute the given values from your x-axis. So here, as we plot, as you can see, the behavior, when your x increases, as you can see, when your x increases, it's automatic that your y also increases. So the relationship for this one, no, there is no such thing as a decreasing value in your angle t or angle of elevation once your x or your horizontal distance between Dennis and the balloon increases. So the graph of t as function of x will be like this. So for your activity, so read and understand the situation below and make a complete plan to solve Mang Jose problems. So paint my house. So there's a title here, paint my house. So Mang Jose wants to paint the exterior of his house, meaning to say uh, the part of his house outside, no? The outside part of his house. He needs to know how many gallons of paint he would need. So he asked his friend Juan to help him. According to Juan, 1 gallon of paint can cover an area of 250 square feet. So help Mang Jose prepare a budget for his project if his house exterior is 2,700 square feet. So do research on the different prices of 1 gallon of paint. So it is available in the internet. So it depends on what brand are you going to use in painting the exterior part of the house of Mang Jose. It can be Boysen, Rain or Shine, and etc. So depending on its brand name, yes, it is, and choice of colors. So there is an increase of price once you choose a color or we mix two colors. That is more pricey, compared to a single color. And it also depends on the features that this paint can bring to us. For example, Boysen. There are Boysen uh, that is odorless, uh, water resistant, heat resistant. So it is more pricey than the normal, normal paint. So it really depends on the brand name and the colors, plus the features attached on it. So make a proposal budget for three different colors of paint with its corresponding brand name. So it can be Boysen, Rain or Shine, or Hudson. It can be Hudson. No, no. Here is the criteria that you need to satisfy. No, accuracy of the solution, mathematical concept. So this is how we grade your outputs. So based on the following uh, criteria. Thanks for watching. So please like and comment and subscribe.